Man, what a rainy, soggy day. But stay tuned because I got some really cool things that it's gonna make its way onto this boat that you would normally not see on a boat like this. We got this boat from a salvage yard in Mobile, Alabama and pulled it home with my Ford F450. We removed the Mercruiser gas-powered engines so we can replace them with a set of Yanmar diesels I got from another salvage boat I bought out of Florida. This boat needs an overwhelming amount of work before she is ready for our great loop adventure. So join me on this series of videos to see if we can achieve our goals. Man, it is absolutely terrible outside and cold. It has literally been raining since I've stopped the last video. I've been trying to pump these videos out once a week, but it's really hard when you don't get any good fair weather days to actually do some work to film, to make a video. I'm really wanting to wrap up this overbuilt stringer. This boat is an absolute mess right now. I have crap everywhere. It's dusty, unorganized. I normally am very unorganized anyway. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to try to clean up around here so we can get ready to start cutting out this glass mat. Did I mention it's raining outside? I was really wanting to show you some goodies that I'm going to put on this boat. Some stuff that you probably wouldn't see on a boat like this that I actually picked up that's pretty cool. But y'all just going to have to bear with me. It's raining. I need to film inside the garage. That tin with the rain, you wouldn't be able to hear me at all. All right, so here I am back down in my hole. I did bring up some materials that I need to finish up the stringers. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to do some 1708 and I'm going to do some trop strand as well. I measured the thickness of the stringer itself, of what it needs to be, and we need about 5 or 6 layers probably of the 1708. Now, the way I'm going to go about this, I'm not going to just start cutting shaped pieces and just start piling them on. I'm actually going to do a little tabbing, try to hold everything together. I think it's going to be a little overkill for this boat, considering they don't really use the wood part, or in my case the Coosa, for the structure, but we're going to make it part of the structure. However, I am going to cut some shaped parts that just drape over that Coosa board. I'll probably need 2 to 3 layers of that. And then I'm going to have to cut little strips just for the tabbing. And there's a technique. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to attempt this. I brought some masking paper and we're going to measure it out. And then I'm going to lay the masking paper over the Coosa board. And then I'm going to draw it out with a Sharpie, and we're going to try to cut it out and try to make us a template out of some masking paper first. That was some absolutely back-breaking work. It has taken me probably from 10-ish this morning till it's close to 6 now, and I've been working consistently. I got each piece cut and numbered and ready to put on. However, I am not going to do that today. It is dinner time. It would probably take me longer to wet this stuff out and roll it on and get it to where it needs to be. I may roll some of it on tomorrow just to kind of get a head start. And I am actually going to go ahead and get a head start on editing this video so I could get it back to you guys as soon as I can. Now, before it starts raining again real heavily and you can't hear me inside the shop, here's some cool things I got for the boat. One, I got a fairly up-to-date Garmin. It's a 942 XS. I got it with the radar dome, and we are going to put autopilot on it and maybe a backup camera, and probably run some NMEA accessories with it too. Like, I'm gonna run the fuel gauges through the NEMA network and pretty much anything I can, like their audio system and that kind of stuff. So I got a lot of Garmin accessories coming for this boat. The other thing we're gonna put on this boat is gonna be a bow thruster. I'm thinking about doing a stern thruster too, just because people that have had these Silverton 322s, they're not a real big boat, but they're like a freaking sail in the wind. So whenever the wind is blowing, they kind of go everywhere. We'll see how money goes, but we are definitely going to be doing a bow thruster for sure. Now, one cool thing that I picked up, this was not anything I was planning on putting on the boat, but I just got a good deal on it, so I'm gonna put it on the boat. I got a complete drive-by-wire system for the boat. So it's all electronically controlled. I got the whole system. I plugged it all in when I got it and tried it all out, and it all worked. I got it off a hurricane salvage boat down in Florida. Now, what is cool about that system is I can run a remote. So when I'm docking the boat, I mean, this is way overkill for this little 322, okay? I get it, but if I wanted to stand on the swim platform and use the remote and dock that thing in, I could. Not only that, I really hate twin sticks. This thing is originally separate transmission and separate throttle, and I know there's a lot of people out there that really like that old setup. I hate it. It's just too confusing. My brain doesn't have that kind of capacity sometimes to just sit there and think, you know, oh, throttle and gear changing. I've had boats like that in the past, and I ended up thinking I'm hitting the gear and end up hitting the throttle and just whoa. So I don't like that setup. The other cool thing I'm going to be putting on this boat, and it's a project like all the projects that have to be done on this boat. I got this totally awesome swim platform. If you go back a few videos, you'll see where we basically, we stole it right off a sunken boat out here in Lake Chickamauga. The boat is still sitting there. It is almost completely underwater now. You could see the stock swim platform that came off of it, and you can see how much bigger this one is versus that one. So it's going to have this huge swim platform on it. It's going to be so awesome just for using it around here in Lake Chickamauga. Here, hopefully in a future video, I'm going to go over everything that needs to be done on this boat, all the little projects, everything from like trying to recore the hard top to the gel coat work. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, so we got a lot of videos to pump out in very little bit of time. All right, so put on your crappy clothes. We're gonna go wet out some glass and it quit raining. All right, so I have all this glass mat cut out, and this is where I need to kind of fill you in on some detail as I go along. So basically what I'm doing here, I'm gonna make that Coosa board part of the structure. It wasn't designed that way to begin with. The amount of glass I'm putting on it is going to be pretty close to the same thickness it was from the factory. Now, speaking of factory, I'm not in an engineered environment to work on this stuff, so we all make mistakes sometimes, and we do things to the best of our knowledge. So that being said, that's why I want to make the Coosa board part of the structure of this section of the stringer. It will be overbuilt. The Coosa has reinforced itself with fiberglass, so all in all, it could potentially be twice as strong. Am I doing that on purpose? Yes and no. I'm not sitting here saying, man, it's twice as strong as it was from the factory. You know, no, that's not the reason. I'm just trying to kind of narrow my window of error before failure. So where I'm gonna begin on this, I have all these 3-inch strips cut out. Some are long, some are short. And what we're gonna do is called tabbing. I'm gonna take this, and where the floor meets the stringer, we're gonna basically tab it to where it's gluing the floor, the bottom of the boat, to the Coosa board itself. That's where we're gonna start. So that's where it starts to make the Coosa board part of the structure. And after that, we're gonna start overlaying fiberglass. I'm going to put this, then a wrapped piece around it, and then another tab which is much larger to overlap this and overlap well into the wrap piece. Put another wrap piece over, do the same thing again with a bigger tab, so it's just kind of like you know. So on top of the thickness of the fiberglass adhered to the Coosa board, we should have a very strong structure. Now, the one thing about layering is we're gonna overlap it. Basically put this down first, and then imagine this another piece, and then we're gonna take another piece which would be like this, which is gonna come out farther past this tab. Now, the reason why we keep going farther out like this, you know, imagine this go. So this is where people kind of get confused with fiberglass work, especially people that have done this stuff for years. They want to put one large piece down and then start putting layers that are smaller inward. And even for, like, let's just say this is a hole and you're doing that to a hole, people always want to put the bigger piece out and then go smaller in. Everybody does things their own way. Now, the reason why I want to keep doing it inward like this is if this piece fails, like this inner piece here, if this inner piece fails, then you still have these two to hold it. Now, if you put this first piece down and then you layer it in this way, where it steps inward, if this piece fails, the whole deal fails. So that's why you always layer it in and go out, stagger it that way. Now, this is gonna take me a while. I'm gonna try my very best to film it. The problem is I'm gonna start wetting glass out. I'm gonna have gloves on. I'm not gonna be able to, like, constantly move the camera around. I really don't want this this old GoPro full of fiberglass resin. My wife is gonna come out and help me wet it out while I lay it out as soon as she gets off of work, which is here in another hour or two. But I'm gonna try to get a head start and get some of this tabbing down. All right, I'm gonna start you guys off with just one, kind of show you what I'm doing, and then I'm gonna break you off into a time warp. So I'll go ahead and get a mixture of resin here, 26 ounces, and I did the math before I started to make myself look smarter. So it's 26 ounces of resin is 7.6 cc's. Man, that stuff works so good. I love it. You can see it turning color. I guess I'll go ahead and start with wetting this out with the paintbrush here. Sometimes you can just kind of pour it on there and spread it out, but we're going to wet it out this way. Let it get nice and soaked in. It's all right to be a little liberal with the resin. So I'm gonna turn this upside down and do the back side. So you could do this before or after, but the next thing, we gotta wet out the surface area of where we're gonna be. Make sure it's all cleaned down with acetone real good. I'm gonna get a buzz down here in the bilge. That all nice and saturated. All right, once you got it all wet out, lay that strip in. I don't really want to put it too far this way because I want to overlap it with another piece or two. Look at that, it's already kind of looking nice. I like taking my roller. Now the trick with the roller is not too much pressure, just kind of barely work it in with a little, just, you know, real light pressure, just enough to kind of help squeeze out some of the excess resin. I mean, that's really all this thing is supposed to do. And I can use it, since it's contoured, to kind of push itself up against that contoured edge I put on earlier. We'll just kind of time warp you through the steps a little bit. Who has joined us now. Now I told you I was going to try to explain the best I can on how I'm layering this stuff. I got the 3-inch tabbing down. This is a full covered piece. We put that down, and layer number 3, well, kind of 2-ish, is going to be like this here, which is going to go, this isn't the correct piece, but it's going to come up to about right here, and it's going to come down to about right here. So it kind of overlaps everything that I've done right here. And then when we're done getting this piece down, we're going to take another piece that's a full covering and put it on over that. And then I think I have one more like this, and then another final overlay. All right, it is now about 9 o'clock. I started around 2, and it literally took till about 9 to get all the layers of glass rolled onto that stringer. I used 10 cups of resin. That's a lot. I am tired. I'm going in the house and I'm gonna eat me a frozen pizza. All right guys, here we are a couple days later. We finally have a cured and hard stringer. Now, is it done? No. We still have to kind of dress it up a little. I have to cut some ends off of it here and there and cap it with some fiberglass, which I couldn't do all at once when we had everything wetted out. Basically just some touch-up work. I'm still gonna have to go back and sand down some spots and prep it for painting the bilge, but we're gonna do that on another day and another episode. I'm gonna leave you guys off right here because we are getting past the 20-minute mark. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll hopefully see you again next week.